If it ain't broke, don't fix it. But if it's really broke, follow what Glanbia always does and just send it off to the island of the misfit toys. So I'll decode that introductory statement a bit later in this content, but on August 14th of 2024, Glanbia updated the public markets by releasing its 2024 first half interim management statement. I'll be utilizing the financial information from those documents along with any notes I took while listening to the earnings conference call and kind of any relevant publicly disclosed information to obviously update you on the recent performance of Glanbia and specifically Glanbia Performance Nutrition, but also utilize everything to provide insights about the global sports and active nutrition markets. Just some quick financial mumbo jumbo housekeeping for us Americans. These numbers you'll hear throughout the content will be for the first half, so 6 months, not 3, because Glanbia is not an American corporation and has different reporting standards for their public markets. You'll also be hearing me provide comparative percentages on a constant currency basis, which just means the currency fluctuations of the multinational company are stripped out for the ease of comparisons. Okay, enough with those formalities. Let's start with a quick update on that financial data. In the first half of 2024, Glanbia's group revenues were $1.82 billion, which was down 1.1% year over year. This comprised of pricing being down 4%, but volume being up 1.8%. Additionally, Glanbia had a positive 1.1 impact from the acquisition of assets during the comparative period. For those that might not be familiar, Glanbia is made up of 2 divisions. Let's start by covering the slightly larger one, Glanbia Nutritionals, which is also made up of 2 subdivisions, US Cheese and Nutritional Solutions. Historically, I haven't spent too much time on the Glanbia Nutritionals division, even though it's obviously extremely important to the overall business. But that has recently changed for 2 reasons. Firstly, Glanbia amended the commercial arrangements associated with the US Cheese joint venture that became effective January 1st of 2024. Under the new commercial terms, in accordance with international accounting standards, Glanbia will now recognize commissions earned on the sale of joint venture products, whereas previously Glanbia recorded the gross value of revenues and corresponding cost of sales on those joint venture products sold. So it's basically a revenue and cost of sales recognition and presentation thing. To be completely honest, for almost all of you, the financial implications aren't contextually impactful to the overall insights provided throughout this content. But secondly, more Glanbia group focus is now being placed on the other subdivision, Nutritional Solutions, which is super relevant to the type of strategic management consulting work that I perform within the functional CPG space. Additionally, Nutritional Solutions has higher margins and stronger alignment within the value add, better nutrition focus of Glanbia. It has also made substantial acquisitions over the last 4 years, thus broadening its capabilities to becoming the ingredients partner of choice for many of the world's leading brands, including its own. In the first half of 2024, Nutritional Solutions revenue improved by 3.5% year over year, but as you'll see, it resulted from the previously mentioned M&A activity. The subdivision's performance was driven by a 3.1% increase in volume, a 3.9% decline in price, and a positive 4.3% impact from acquisitions. The volume growth was driven largely by a strong performance in the premixed solutions business, and the price decline was largely a result of lower dairy market pricing, though whey prices are trending up in the second half of this year. But let's move on to the other Glanbia division, Glanbia Performance Nutrition, which is made up of the nutritional brands like Optimum Nutrition, among a handful of others. In the first half of 2024, GPN revenue was $882.1 million, which was down 0.8% year over year. The performance of the brand portfolio was driven by volume growth of 3.1%, but that was more than offset by price decline of 3.9% year over year. If we look at the revenue by region, starting with the international side that makes up 36% of the total GPN revenue, the first half of 2024 saw revenue increase 3.3% year over year. The performance within international markets was driven by good volume growth in the Optimum Nutrition brand across key priority markets, which was supported by increased marketing investment. In terms of the Americas region that makes up the remaining 64% of the total GPN revenue, The first half of 2024 saw geographical revenue decline 3% year over year. And to provide more context around that not so great performance, especially within the largest GPN market of the United States, let's dig a few layers deeper that might help provide more impactful storylines. And we can begin by looking at GPN categorical insights, starting off with what GPN was previously calling performance nutrition, but is now just Optimum Nutrition. This change is reminding me of something I jokingly said more than a year ago in one of these Glanbia quarterly content pieces, stating that the entire Glanbia Performance Nutrition name should be amended to the Optimum Nutrition Company. And that's because Optimum Nutrition, which GPN has been built around since the very beginning, now accounts for 65% of the total divisional revenue. But in the first half of 2024, Optimum Nutrition grew revenue 7.7% year over year. Optimum Nutrition's performance was driven by an 11.8% volume increase, but was partially offset by a 4.1% decrease in pricing. In terms of US market retail consumption growth in tracked channels, Optimum Nutrition was basically flat over the 13-week period ending July 14th of 2024. Transitioning to the next largest share of GPN revenue, the healthy lifestyle brand portfolio makes up 18% and includes Isopure, Think, and Amazing Grass. These brands have collectively performed relatively strong over the last several years, but revenue in the first 6 months of 2024 has only grown slightly less than 1% year over year. In terms of US market retail consumption growth in tracked channels, the healthy lifestyle brand portfolio did slightly better with positive 3% over the 13-week period ending July 14th, 2024. And the final GPN product category was previously named weight management, but that has disappeared completely. Where did it go? Well, that's what I was referring to in the introductory statement. SlimFast has performed downright pitiful over the last several years. So instead of continuing to show us those disgustingly terrible year-over-year numbers, Glanbia has decided to send SlimFast off to the island of Misfit toys, Misfit brands. GPN now has just kind of thrown all of the Misfit brands into a category dubbed Other Portfolio Brands that was down 24.5% year over year in the first half of 2024. Are you curious who the other Misfits include? Arguably the only notable one outside of now SlimFast would be BSN, but don't get me started on that fuck up again because my name is already being muttered enough across the Kilkenny global headquarters and GPN Chicago offices. Next, let's quickly run through revenue breakdowns and trends by sales channel and product format. In the first half of 2024, the largest sales channel, making up 36% of total GPN revenue, is food, drug, mass, and convenience, though revenue within FDMC has fallen 1% year over year. The next largest sales channel, making up 30% of total GPN revenue, is online. But this is another currently retracting channel with year-over-year revenue falling 3%. Then you have global distribution making up 22% of total GPN revenue, and that's growing 11% year-over-year, mostly because of the before-mentioned strength in international markets. Finally, specialty retailers, which was the original GPN sales channel focus, now only makes up 12% of the total divisional revenue, and that has negative 12% year-over-year growth. In terms of product format, you'll notice that everything outside of powders were down year over year. And this makes sense when you consider what I previously said about SlimFast. So while Think bars are doing well and Optimum Nutrition and Isopure RTD protein beverages are selling okay, the overall performance in those formats is being dragged down by SlimFast as that brand accounts for a material share of the total GPN revenue coming from snacking and RTD beverage formats. But that kind of rolls us right into the first in a collection of hot takes or things I'm left pondering about Glanbia at this current time. On the earnings call, an analyst asked Glanbia leadership for more detail around the poor performance of ready-to-eat and ready-to-drink formats. But instead of pressing them further, he played nice by allowing them to only blame SlimFast. And that's kind of the biggest problem in those Q&A portions of these public company quarterly earnings conference calls, because these investment banking or hedge fund analysts can't make CEOs really sweat because then they'd likely get kicked out of future calls and possibly lose their cushy jobs. But I don't have those same concerns. So that's why I can say things like I did last November. I know the focus has been on the growth of the protein powders, across large retail channels, but I think the quickest way for the performance nutrition brand to go from just over $1 billion in annual revenue to $2 billion is through perfecting a protein RTD offering that resonates with consumers and investing heavily into a beverage team that has the autonomy to act swiftly and aggressively in the market. There is absolutely no kind of fucking reason why Optimum Nutrition shouldn't have a protein RTD offering that's competing with Premier Protein, Fairlife for core power, and muscle milk. And then finally, sticking with Optimum Nutrition in the beverage category, let's talk about energy drinks. It's time to throw in the towel on the amino energy RTDs. The packaging refresh will not materially help results. And regardless of myself thinking some of the liquid is actually pretty good, it will get lost in the energy drinks market because convenience channel or heck, any just general mainstream consumers don't know what an amino is and they will just kind of move on to another competitor. So, the complete answer as to why GPN food and beverage format performance is down must always include ownership of their inability over the last 5 to 7 years to create an actual winning product innovation that has the right accompanying commercial strategy to drive results. Next, let's talk about the slight design changes made to Optimum Nutrition packaging that began rolling out this month. The two most impactful packaging adjustments are that they made the Optimum Nutrition mark larger, thus helping create more brand identity and connection with consumers, and then adding protein below whey with equal text weight will significantly help inform new mainstream consumers that might not understand that whey is actually the same as that protein powder thing their doctor or someone they trust told them to purchase. And then finally, I want to talk about two commodity groups that have an outsized impact on GPN, mostly because Optimum Nutrition sells hundreds of millions of dollars of double chocolate, gold standard, 100% whey protein powder. And there's obviously some variance in dry whey as it gets processed down further, but pricing has doubled year over year and currently is around the 2021 and 2022 all-time average highs. From my understanding, these prices will stay high or even rise more throughout the back half of 2024. And then with cocoa pricing, I've been following the crop outlook in West Africa, and farmers in top cocoa producing countries like Ivory Coast continue to express optimism for the upcoming main crop, believing that there might be a potential global surplus that could occur in the 2024 and 2025 season, thus dropping prices back towards historical levels. But I just wanted to end with a quick final thought. For those of you new to this content, whether employed by Glanbia, an industry professional, or just a lover of the supplement space, it might seem like I'm being a bit too negative here, though it's imperative to understand that I only poke the bear, aka the multi-billion-dollar companies that can handle the logic-based constructive criticisms. I have an open line of communication with, and my influence won't materially affect business continuity. For what it's worth, I've almost universally applauded Glanbia for being sound operators that are financially disciplined and overall positive industry leaders globally. But I hope you enjoyed this YouTube video. If you did, consider hitting that like button to support me. Also help me get to my new short-term goal of 4,000 subscribers by hitting that subscribe button. I'd love to see you join me on this journey, but we need to fix the fact that I think slightly more than 90% of you that are watching this YouTube video right now are not subscribed to my channel, and that makes me extremely sad. But I do want to thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you on the next one.